Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am the CHALL, your Doncaster Rovers fan and YouTube Sporting Network, and today we're going to be previewing the Rotherham United match. So before we get started, make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell to never miss YouTube video. And for now, let's get into this video. Let's start with a bit of history on Rotherham United, and then we'll talk about summarising my thoughts going into this game. Like I said before, there won't be no lineup predictions for pre-season. That'll start when the season starts. But let's go into a bit of history on our South Yorkshire rivals. When the Football League was resumed in 1919 after the First World War, Rotherham County applied successfully to join for the first time, while Rotherham Town's application was turned down, but they were allowed back into the Midland League. The first league game took place at Millmoor, the old stadium, and County beat Nottingham Forest 2-0, but it proved to be a season of struggle, and they finished in 17th position out of 22. When it was decided to introduce Division 3, Town were successful, and well, hopeful of becoming Rotherham's second league club, but they received just 13 votes, not enough to gain admittance. Rumours had already been spreading that the two clubs might amalgamate, and when County were relegated in 1923, the move looked more likely. With Town's outlook becoming more and more bleak with ever-mounting financial problems, a resolution was passed in March 1925 that Town would be wound up and a new club to be named Rotherham United was officially born on the 27th of May 1925. The new club was officially given league status, but the first season wasn't a particularly good one, finishing 14th. That was to be the pattern over the next few years, as the lack of finances proved to be an ongoing problem. In an attempt to give a boost, greyhound racing was introduced in May 1931, but that was brought to an end a year later by the Football League, and the next decade saw little improvement on the playing front, with 6th in season 37-38 being the best they achieved. More success was to follow when Rotherham reached the first ever League Cup final, but the two-legged final against Aston Villa was held over from the end of the 1960-61 campaign to the beginning of the next campaign, when they were beaten 3-2 on aggregate after extra time. Rotherham United were involved in another Titanic Cup game against the mighty Manchester United, who drew 0-0 at Old Trafford in 65-66, only to suffer an agonising 1-0 defeat at Millmoor at the replay. But in 1967-68, maths on the pitch worsened and they were facing the prospect of relegation when the famous Tommy Doherty was brought in as manager. He made a promise to get United out of Division 2 and he was true to his word, although it was the wrong way, with relegation coming at the end of that season. Former goal-scoring heroine, the successful 1980-1981 season, Ronnie Moore, took over in May 1997 amid a blaze of publicity. He only had a handful of players under contract, but gradually rebuilt the team, and in his first season the new manager guided his squad to 9th position, just outside the playoffs, which was achieved the following season, but they were beaten in a penalty shootout by Leyton Orient. That was to herald a remarkable climb up the Football League ladder, and 2 successive promotions saw the team in Division 1 at the end of the 2000-2001 season. They were clear favourites to make a speedy return to Division 2, but they were yet again defied the odds by surviving, even though it was by the narrowest of margins on goal difference. The seemingly never-ending progress continued once more, and after flirting with the possibility of reaching the playoffs in 2002-2003, they finished in a credible 15th position, the lowest they'd occupied all season. Early in 2006, it was announced that the club faced an uncertain future unless a funding gap in the region of £140,000 per month could be plugged. The problem was compounded as Rotherham had already sold their ground to Ken Booth in return for clearing £3 million of debt and had no tangible assets, so administration was not a viable option. This led to the launch of a Save the Millers campaign, aiming to raise £1 million needed to complete the season. It was also estimated that £1 million extra was required to complete work on a new stand. South Yorkshire neighbour Sheffield United offered their support by paying the wages of Stephen Quinn and Jonathan Forte during their loan spells at Millmoor, and also donated profits from the beanbag of the Sheffield derby. Many local clubs also held connections. An 11th hour intervention by local businessman Dennis Coleman and Dino Macchio invested new money along with a new business plan into the club and averted a possible dissolution of the club. However, even with the new takeover, the new board didn't have enough financial backing to prevent the club from entering a company voluntary arrangement, a form of administration, for which the club was docked 10 points at the start of the following season. United began their second successive year in League One with the 10-point deflict as a result of the CVA, which saved the club from liquidation. At one point during the close season, the team had only 7 full-time professionals on the books, but Nil made a number of signings during this period to bolster the squad. It took the Millers until mid-October, 14 games in, to get off the bottom of the table. However, a run of 18 league games without a win towards the end of the season saw the dismissal of the manager at the time, Alan Nil. Mark Robbins replaced him. However, the 10-point deficit proved too much to overcome, and relegation to League Two was confirmed with 3 games remaining. The Millers spent the majority of the 07-08 season in the automatic promotion places, winning 8 consecutive league matches towards the end of the year. However, in mid-March 2008, it was revealed that Rotherham had again entered administration and would be deducted 10 points. This would be accompanied by a drop in form, and Rotherham finished 9th in the league. Towards the end of the season, it was revealed that local businessman Tony Stewart wants to take over as chairman and club owner, but was advised not to exit administration via a CVA, meaning an additional points deduction for the following season. On the 6th of August, just 3 days before the start of the season, the Football League threatened to block Rotherham and Bournemouth from participating in League Two for the 08-09 season because the club had not yet exited administration or completed the process of transferring ownership. The Football League ruled that accepting the 17-point deduction would be a condition the team must obey to be eligible to play, which was accepted. In addition, Rotherham United were forced to leave Millmoor, their home of over 100 years, after disputes with the landlords. Being further into debt, Rotherham also sold their training ground at Houghton Roberts. This led to further complications after the Football League demanded a £750,000 bond for the team to play outside the town's boundaries for a maximum of 4 years. The club must move back to Rotherham within this time period or face losing their Football League share. Under the new ownership of Tony Stewart, Rotherham kicked off their first game of the 2008-09 season at the Don Valley Stadium with a 1-0 win against Lincoln City. The ASCL New York Stadium opened its doors for the first time in a pre-season friendly between Rotherham United and Barnsley, which was won 2-1 by the Millers after being behind early on. Evans and Rayner showcased their newly built squad, including Icelandic international Kari Arnason and Northern Ireland star Michael O'Connor, amongst 10 summer signings. Friendlies against Doncaster Rovers, Heart of Midlothian and Sheffield United followed before the first official league game at the stadium saw the Millers beat Burton Albion 3-0. After relegation from the Championship in 2017, the Millers appointed former player and long-serving coach Paul Warne as first-team manager on a permanent basis, following a spell as caretaker manager. After appointing ex-teammate Richie Barker as his number 2, the pair, alongside first-team coach Matt Hamshaw, installed a new belief throughout the club and planted the early seed for success during a gruelling but successful pre-season tour of Austria. The Millers remained in touch with the League One playoff positions throughout the opening quarter of the campaign, before an unbeaten run of 14 matches from December through to February secured a playoff spot. After defeating Scunthorpe over 2 legs, the Millers made an instant return to the second tier after Richard Wood brace was enough to defeat Shrewsbury Town 2-1 after an extra time in the final at Wembley Stadium. It was clear at this point in his reign as Miller's boss that Warne had established a culture at the club which would ensure that even following relegation, his side would be able to pick themselves up and build on the foundations of their on-field progress. Unlike in previous seasons this time around, Rotherham United were one of the fanciest sides to be involved in the promotion shake-up in the 1920 campaign, and Warne's men would successfully live up to those expectations. Having quickly adapted to the life in the third tier, the Millers enjoyed the majority of the season near the summit of the division, spending a number of weeks leading the pack. But following the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic and with the Millers sat second in the table, it was decided that the Sky Bet League One season would be curtailed, with Warne's side efforts being rewarded with the runners-up spot after the division's outcome was decided using a points per game calculation. Having been so close to Sky Bet Championship survival, though, later on, despite hurdles caused by the coronavirus, the Millers were condemned to relegation in the cruelest of fashions on the final day of the 2020-2021 season against Cardiff City. So then another big challenge lay ahead of Paul Warne and his staff, who would once again target an immediate return to the second tier, this time competing against big clubs such as Ipswich, Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday and Portsmouth, all of whom would share those ambitions. Would the Millers need to have a season of consolidation to overcome that outbreak? Some suggested so. However, Warne once again carefully structured his side, building them to care about the badge, to battle if every game was their last. They did just that, and in the process recorded arguably the club's most successful season on the field ever. Come May 2022, Rotherham United achieved their ambition of promotion, finishing as runners-up to Wigan Athletic, as January signing Georgie Kelly wrote his name into the history books with one of the most memorable debuts of all time, scoring the second goal in a promotion-clinching 2-0 win at Gillingham on the final day, which saw the Gills relegated to League Two alongside Crewe, AFC Wimbledon, and of course, ourselves. So let's summarise my thoughts on the Rotherham friendly, and also what I'm expecting after our win against Huddersfield on the Saturday. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. That is the history of Rotherham United. Well, a slice of history of Rotherham United, should we say. It sounds like with Gary McSheffrey, and I know there's different owners, so it feels like a different situation, but I just get this feeling with Gary McSheffrey that we are where Rotherham were at the start of Paul Warne's reign, if you get what I mean. Like, he was caretaker manager, then became first team manager and built from there. This is McSheffrey's first full season in charge of Doncaster Rovers. I feel like, and it's horrible comparing ourselves to Rotherham, but it feels like we are in the sort of start of that situation when a manager gets his first full season and he's building something where players work for the badge. And we definitely saw that against Huddersfield from our team. We definitely saw that when we beat Huddersfield. We saw players playing tighter game, better off the ball. I wasn't a huge fan of the corner flag stuff with a few minutes to go, but I could get why they were doing I do get why they're doing it, because, you know, it's all about game management at the end of the day. And I think 18 Dapper said it on Twitter as well. It's all about game management, and our game management needed to improve this season. And even though it wasn't pretty to watch, I do get it. Even though it wasn't pretty to watch, I do get it. I think the game management in that situation was better than past situations last season, even though it wasn't pretty to watch. But we had to hold on to a win, and that's what we had to do. But I think with better game management, which is what we've been seeing, better off the ball, better chances on the ball, we've got wingers that are willing to push and run and go at defenders and not be afraid to back away. Who won't back away, sorry, and aren't afraid to go for it. We've got players in the middle who are dictating the middle of the play very nicely. It was such a tight-based group, and we definitely looked a lot better than we did last season against Huddersfield this season, in the summer. And I think we're starting to create that squad now where we play for the badge, we give everything we've got. We've got a high work rate squad who will give everything they've got and won't back away. I think we're sort of seeing similarities to the start of McSheffrey's proper build. And I'm seeing references to when Warne started at Rotherham. I'm starting to see those kind of similarities where he's building a squad that play for the badge and don't stop working for 90 minutes, etc. I think we're starting to build that squad this season. And we're maybe in a similar position to where Rotherham were when Paul Warne first took over as manager, where it's going to take time to plant the seeds, but eventually it will grow. And fingers crossed we can do that. Yes, it's different ownership, but hopefully the result will stay the same. So I'm hoping this is the start of something good for McSheffrey. But overall, like I say, we beat Huddersfield 1-0. I think we'll beat Rotherham. And the reason why I'm saying that is not just because I want to beat them into the curb, but I'm going to go with a 1-0 win again. I'm going to go with a 1-0. It might not be the prettiest result, but I'm going to go with a 1-0. If it's more than that, that's even better. And yeah, hopefully I think we'll keep this going and get 5 wins in 5 on Tuesday night. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. And for now, I am the CHALL, your YouTube Sporting Network and Doncaster Rovers fan. Keep living the Rovers life. That, my friends, full-time Rovers Tide Die. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all at the stadium for a South Yorkshire pre-season derby.